Ramona and Her Father by Beverly Cleary. Once upon a time, in the United States of America, there was a girl named Ramona, and she was listing down her Christmas list, like guinea pig, mice, and other stuff. What a 7-year-old girl would want. And her mother was looking at the fridge for leftovers. Well, at least we have some cauliflower. Then Ramona's like, cauliflower? Ew. Because you know 7-year-olds' taste. They usually think of lollipops, hamburgers, blah blah blah, whatever. And so she continued listing down her list. And then her grouchy old sister Beezus came in, and she's like, creative writing is the boringest thing I've ever seen. I hate creative writing! Then her mother keeps on staring at her. And she's like, oh. Her family was literally staring at her because usually Beezus is like being quiet and doing her homework. But now she seems to act different. What's the face, Beezus? asked Ramona's mother. We have to do creative writing, but I hate creative writing. I don't know even how to do it. Like that. And her mother's like, creative writing is fun. Then Beezus says, but it's not fun for me. And then Ramona says, it's like she continues writing down her list and pretends not to notice, but she's actually listening to their conversation. Like me sometimes. And her mother said, Why? Why don't you go out with your other friends? Then Beezus is like, Mom! Oh, you don't know? Mary Jane keeps on playing the keyboard while Henry keeps on practicing for the Olympics. Then when Ramona was about to speak about something about a poem that Beezus was talking about, then she said, You're such a pest, Ramona! Then Ramona said, Then why don't you call yourself a rotten dinosaur egg? She did like that. Then Mrs. Quimby said, Girls, stop. Then Ramona was like, Then Beezus marched back upstairs with her grouchy back. And then Ramona asked, Mom, why is Beezus so grouchy and like a rotten dinosaur egg? Then her mother said, Ramona, you know Beezus is on a difficult age now and she's facing lots of homework and problems. You know that, right? Then Ramona said, Of course I do. I wonder what we're gonna do on payday. Yes, because that's what they do, and that's why Ramona was listing down her list of Christmas lists happily. She was thinking of going to a restaurant, eating a Whopper burger and French fries because of how it tastes, and also the friendly lady there. I wonder when Daddy's coming home from work, said Ramona. And then when her dad came, he's like, Hi girls, I gotta talk with your mom. He pretended to smile, but he seemed sad. Ramona thought that was just because of his work is stressing him down. Gummy bears, said Ramona, peering into the brown paper bag. Gummy bears? said Beezus. Wow! Because That was their favorite food, even for Glenwood School. That's the school they attend. And so they went to the room and they divided. But then they heard their parents like, and they whispered like, what's going on? Thought Ramona. Then they were like scared, afraid. And so when they went to their parents' room, but they did not open the door. They listened to the door. They leaned against the door and they put their ears against the door and like Basis tried to hear, but it seemed like their voices are muffled. Then Ramona said, "You should try going to the living room." But the living room was already too far from here, said Basis. Then they heard their father replied after a moment of silence. He said calmly, "I'm going to take the shower." Then Ramona didn't feel like eating soft, chewy gummy bears anymore. And then their mom went to the refrigerator and opened the refrigerator where that stinky cauliflower and that roast pot is. "I guess we're eating at home after all, Beezus," said Ramona. Then, without nobody to tell her, she grabbed the placemats and put them in the table. And usually when she was cross, she put her sister's placemat facing on the face. Then Mrs. Quimby saw that her girls were worried and in silence. Then she said, "Girls, you better know that your father lost his job." "But he likes his job," said Ramona. "Well, your father worked for a little company. Then a big company bought it, and most of the people were kicked out, including your father." "What are we gonna do now? Our money is gonna be wasted," Beatrice said. "Mother works," Ramona said. "Only part-time," Mrs. Quimby corrected her. Then there was a moment of silence. "I could do babysitting," said Beatrice. Ramona thought, "What can I do to help the family?" Aha! Maybe I could sell some lemonade, but then nobody would buy her lemonade for no reason. Maybe she could try making perfume, but then instead of roses that smell really beautiful, it smell like rotten roses. Ew. And but then her mom said, "You shouldn't let yourselves get into such hard work. Anyways, we have the new room to pay." "Oh no," Ramona thought. "This is going to be harder than I thought." Then one day when it was her school time, after her school, she watched her father blow cigarettes and a cloud of gray smoke popped out. Then she asked, "What are you watching, Dad?" "I'm watching a caramel," he said. Usually nobody was fun, like slouchy back, other stuff, and boring and frowny. And so her dad was just relaxing and watching that TV. And then there was this boy who's singing about the pots and pans and do not worry and about burgers. Then he opened his mouth really wide and bited into the fat hamburger. "He must be gaining millions of dollars," said Mr. Quimby. "How come?" said Ramona. When they sell the Whopper burgers, and the boy who's in the ad, he will get paid for what he did because what he did attracted the customers. Oh, said Ramona. Then she went to draw in her room. Then she started singing the song, what the boy was singing a while ago, and drawing a juicy burger with sesame seeds on top, a bun that was colored yellow for no reason. I don't know why. And a burger, lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, and other stuff that were in the burger. She wished there would be the good times, and she remembered the good times that before her father lost her job, thinking about the Whopper burgers and thinking how much money she will get for being on television. And the ones who watched her, who were her classmates, would say, "Oh, that's Ramona Quimby who goes to our school, and she could buy a cuckoo clock for every room." And one day, after her practicing of these cornmeals or ads, she went to Mrs. Rogers' room. That was her teacher. And she said, "Hey, Miss Roger!" Then she said something offensive. Then Miss Roger was like, "Oh, thank you for saying that, Ramona." Then the students started laughing. And then Ramona realized she did the wrong thing. She should have not repeated what the girl said to her mother. So she sat down in her seat. But most especially, maybe her father would talk to her since her father was there. Oh no, this is getting worse, Ramona. And so after class, her father said, "Go along, play in the playground, I'll read this paper." And he went into Miss Rogers' room and he started reading the paper. Oh well, thought Ramona. Then she went outside. Then she saw less children. It seemed like the children were only interested to see what's inside, not outside. There was the traffic boy at the streets. And Ramona passed by some birds in the playground. What should I do with this? Something curious is going to happen today. And so she picked up the birds and then she started laying them until she made a crown. Just like the boy in the TV cornmeal she watched with her father one time. Then she placed the crown on her head. Then she said, "Ta-da!" But then when she was walking on the sidewalk, going home with her father told her what she did at class. He said, "First of all, you have no manners. Second, you are a good reader, but careless in spelling." What? Miss Rogers is rude, she thought. Then he continued saying what Miss Rogers said. Thirdly, you're unpolite. Miss Rogers is just making that up! Ramona shouted at her father. Then she realized that was true because of the pantyhose and the elephant thing she said to Miss Rogers and her classmates were laughing about. Then she tried removing her bird crown, but then it started sticking to her hair. She's like, "Ugh." Then she looked helplessly at her father. Then her father said, "What are you, a Rose Festival queen?" Then Ramona felt hot all over her face. Then she said, "Come on, let's hurry home before your mother sees this." But they were not able to remove the birds right away because he took them out of her hair when they reached home. Ow! Yeah, you're pulling off my hair. Stop! Leave me some hair, Daddy. I'm trying, he said. And then Beatrice came home to see what's happening. And she watched. She was the audience. Ramona felt like she's not helping here. And she's like, "Oh, ow!" She imagined herself having a bald spot in the middle of her head. Here. Right here. And then Mrs. Quimby came home and said, "What's happening, Ramona?" Ramona said, "I accidentally put the burr around my head. And now Daddy's trying to remove it." "Oh, I see. Beezus, grab me the scissors." No, Ramona said. "I don't want you to cut my hair." Of course she was crying and wailing. That's how a 7-year-old would act, of course. They're still acting like babies at the time. Then Mrs. Quimby was about to cut a hair from her head. Then Ramona said, "Let Daddy cut it. You need to cook." Then cook supper. Then Ramona's mom said, "Yeah, good point. Oh well, I'll give it to your dad." Then she handed the scissors over to Mr. Quimby. Then Mr. Quimby led Ramona to the couch. Then they were removing the burrs, and then since her father blew cigarettes, you know that already, he put one of the burrs in the ashtray, and then another, and then another, and then another. And Ramona saw the same boy. The boy who was eating that big fat hamburger. He did again. Oh my God, I won $1 million. She thought. The next morning, everything was like annoying because Ramona was eating her drumsticks like and having no manners at all. She's trying to practice for the cornmeals she watched so she could be on television. Then she could gain lots of money so she could maybe go to Disneyland and have Whipper burgers again. Something like that. What a 7-year-old wants. And then Ramona's father said, "Ramona, you keep on eating unmannerly. Have some manners." And Ramona realized she had been not paying attention to herself. Then Mrs. Quimby tried to change the subject. Anyways, Howie's grandmother, Howie was her friend. Howie's grandmother's sister is selling some pumpkins, and so I thought I bought one so we can make a jack-o'-lantern. A jack-o'-lantern? Thought Ramona. This is gonna be great! Her family's starting to get better again. "Whoa, a jack-o'-lantern," said Beezus. "Amazing! I'm getting my jackknife," said Mr. Quimby. Then he started sharpening his jackknife. Then Ramona and Beezus got the pumpkin out of the basement. It was kind of heavy though. Mr. Quimby was known as the best pumpkin cutter in Kilkin Street. And so Ramona said, What do you think the mouth should look like? What do you think? And soon after, they made a big pumpkin. "Good night," said Ramona. "Good night," said her family. This is the best day ever, Ramona thought, until she was woke up by something scary. "Mom? Dad? What's that sound?" "I don't know. Maybe that's just a bad dream." "Oh well, just go back to sleep." Then Ramona tried to sleep, but then she could not. She still heard a loud crunching. Something like that. And she said, "We gotta check on it, Mom and Daddy." And so they checked on it with her sister Beezus. Then her dad's like, "Oh, what's happening?" He was itching his head already and thinking, what What is the cat doing? Picky, the ginger cat has been eating under the table. I didn't know he liked jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Mrs. Quimby. I knew it, said Beezus. He won't eat the pussy, she said. That was the brand of Picky's food. And soon, the father and daughter, who was Beezus and Mr. Quimby, they started arguing about the cat and why it scratched it. And then Mr. Quimby called her young lady several times. And soon, they got angry at each other, then they walked away. And as usual, Mr. Quimby started smoking again. His lungs might be turning fat any minute. Thought Ramona. Then she went back in bed and slept. The next morning, Ramona Quimby was going home from school. Her family ate a really quiet breakfast. Everything is sad now. Her father is starting to get mean. She was going to school. Then she saw Davy running around the playground. Here comes Ramona, you can't catch me, said Davy. And of course Ramona had no choice but to chase Davy around the playground. And soon after running, she felt hot, sweat, and she realized this is her moment to save her father. And so when she reached home, she went to her bedroom and got a piece of paper. Then she wrote down, "No smoking." She's not really a good writer back. And so when she put it at the curtains, she was at first scared of her daring. But then she realized this was for her father's good. She waited until it became nighttime. And then at the dinner table, Mr. Quimby said, "Who is not smoking?" "Who's Mr. King?" he would say. I don't know Mr. King, said Ramona. Who ever heard of that name? I found it at the curtain name, and a sign said, "No smoking." Ramona felt angry, sad at least, maybe, and she felt embarrassed. And so she and her sister Beezus started making no smoking signs. Smoking pollutes the air. Smoking is bad for your health. But then her father ignored the signs. And then the next time when they did that, and her cigarettes, he was like, "Ramona." My mother said, "First time is silly, second time silly, third time." His grandmother's wisdom was covered by a fit of coughing. Beezus felt triumph. "See, we told you, smoking is bad for your health." Then they started arguing again and again. When will this family stop arguing? And so, one day when Ramona Quimby was walking home from school, she was like, "Drowsy Ramona again." And so, when she reached the doorstep, she pressed the doorbell. Ding dong, ding dong. Nobody answered. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. She pressed it several times, but nobody answered. Her father was supposed to be there. Then Ramona got sad, and she started crying on the doorsteps. What if her father left her? What if her father gone? Usually her father was the one to protect her from the movies. Before, remember, like I told you, she's a 7-year-old, not like a teenager. Usually she sometimes watch scary, I'm talking scary movies. Like hairy men on motorcycles, brum, 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 and etc. Then she started crying. Ugh. Until her father came. Sorry, I was late. He said, the line is long. And so when they went inside, he gave her a hot cocoa and a graham biscuit, and then he hid himself coffee. Then he said, I have an idea. We could draw something. Then he got from the drawer a big line of paper. Then he said, I'm gonna stop smoking now. Yay! Then they were reunited. Like family thing. And so that's the end of the story. And the moral lesson is that even though everybody's like mean to you, you sometimes got to forgive them. And also, second is love your parents. Like God said in His commandments, honor your father and mother. Those are the moral lessons of Ramona and Her Father by Beverly